Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, the two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me. I'm Rob. Wow, do we got some news? Wink.
Wink, wink.
Yes. Oh, wait, there's something in my eye.
All kinds of winking going on here. So today, officially, the Wink Saga is over with. So we're going to go ahead and give you guys step-by-step what exactly happened this entire saga, because it's been a whole stretched-out thing since the end of November. It got a little complicated. We kind of got things step-by-step, and we also got things out of order chronologically. So we put it in chronological order for you. Oh, yes. Love that.
It was more than just the pizza.
It was more than just the pizza. That's what it's a pizza. Don't get me wrong. They
It's
probably
just the
fought
pizza.
over pizzas at some point.
Oh,
They probably fought
and the
over
bagels.
pizzas. and some reggaeton.
Yeah, and the bagels and the donuts.
Yeah. It's a manigat and gabagool.
That's the gnocchi.
There's a G in it. Why is the G there?
The gnocchi.
So the gnocchi. What?
Yeah. Gnocchis.
Why is this pasta nose getting larger every time it lies?
Yeah.
So, we're going to go ahead and do that step by step. We have a lot of other coaching news for you, some player news as well. And originally, this was supposed to be just an episode about going over potential cap casualties this offseason. And we still wanted to do that as well, because we got a lot of information to give you guys here still as off-season begins here. So, yeah, exactly. Buckle up, guys. This one's going to be a potentially long episode, but we want to give you all the episode here. So, again, I want also to apologize. I got one more day of quarantine after all. I was expecting to be out of it by now, but this morning I finally tested negative, not positive. Sorry, I finally tested negative, but I promised my wife I would quarantine myself for 24 hours after my first negative test to another one, just to make sure it's not a false negative and everything. So, one more day, and I should be back at my regular setup here tomorrow. So I apologize if any network connectivity issues today or any sound issues here. So going forward will be our usual, more reliable goofball equipment there going on. So, all right, let's get into the Wink Martindale saga. Oh, yes, the Wink Martindale saga.
As the wink turns.
Like sand through the MetLife Stadium, these are the days of our Wink.
Yes.
I feel like Wink Martindale just
General
sounds
Wink.
Also like it just sounds like a name in a soap opera too. You know, it's funny when
General
you
Martindale.
Google him. I was unaware of this, but maybe some of our more seasoned listeners might be aware. It was actually apparently there's a game show host back in the 60s that named Wink Martindale.
Huh.
So if you Google his name and actually comes up for both, so that's why.
No, I've seen that. You're right. Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like a game show host named Wink.
It does. Like
and here's your
60s.
host, Wink Martindale.
Who one of those microphones had the skinny ones that had the string to it? The big thing here.
Oh, yes.
The Wink's here. Huh?
Yeah. Here I am. Tell us what they've won, Johnny.
Is he smoking a cigarette still?
Let's go over though. Let's go, with the Virginia Slims one for the lady in the background. Let's go over everything here. So the whole saga starts really with the Jay Glazer incident, because that's the first time the public was aware of anything. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, things happened before the Jay Glazer report, but we were unaware of it till then, and we still don't know if there's a particular set it off. But end of November, the Jay Glazer report comes out saying there's issues between Daboll and some of his coaches, including Wink. He even said that Wink might not make it until the end of the season. Now, prior to that, there was an issue with Wink and Xavier McKinney, and that was believed to be at least part of the issue.
Yes.
We still don't know if that's the full issue or if it really was part of the issue or what the deal is, because no one's talking yet. No one's talking yet. They'll give us more information eventually, it seems like. This is slowly trickling where this timeline might keep on adding on, so we'll see. At the end of the game that week, both Daboll and Martindale denied that report, and Daboll made a very public sentiment by giving Wink the game ball that week. Another report then came out from The Athletic, again stating issues between Daboll and his coaches. Daboll then made several attempts to get the parties with issues with him to come forward, including going into a meeting with all of the defensive coaches that he usually would not be a part of, and asking all of them point blank if anyone in the room has an issue with him. So, seems like he wanted to figure out who this was going forward. Nobody spoke up. So, let me put it this way. Daboll was the only ball in the room, that's for sure. Sunday, Wink, of course, had his Jack Bauer of the TV show 24 on his clipboard. Some, including us, in fact, we were the first ones that I saw put it up on Twitter. I mean, I don't want to claim we were the first ones to make this correlation, but we were the first ones I saw put it up on Twitter, and then I saw a couple people after us all of a sudden come up with it. But he put on the Jack Bauer thing in the 24, but what's interesting is it wasn't the 24 logo he used. It was the 24 hours logo.
Timeline.
For those that are a fan of the show, they used to have at the bottom of the screen, exactly.
Dun.
Meaning 24 hours left. Yes. So, definitely seemed to mean something. And for whatever reason, I just don't know why. I didn't see a lot of people picking up on that quickly. They all thought it was a Jack Bauer thing, and it was cool and really awesome. But, yeah, it seemed pretty obvious to me. Monday morning, Joe Schoen and Coach Daboll had their end-of-the-season press conference. The press conference seemed much earlier in the day than I remember it being last year. Last year was like mid-afternoon. So almost like they're trying to avoid some kind of questions that might come later in the day or something. I don't know. Who knows? Daboll states during the press conference that he expected Wink and Kafka back next season, but also said he hadn't spoken to them yet. So that definitely seemed a little preemptive, as we said that day. After the press conference, the Giants announced the Wilkens brothers would both be fired, and those are Wink's hand-picked people, including his right-hand man, one of the brothers. Daboll then had a meeting with Kafka. I was sorry, with Daboll. Daboll had a meeting with Daboll. I wrote Kafka in my notes here. Yeah, Daboll had a meeting with Wink and told him about the decision to fire the brothers, along with his desire to have Wink back the next season. According to reports, Wink literally cursed out Daboll, left the meeting, and then told people he'd be resigning. Now, I will say this.
Just like an HO tenant in Jacksonville. Just living up to that image.
Now, I haven't heard where the reports are coming from as far as that. People are just reporting that. I will say this. There was a text message going around on social media, and it was supposedly from someone who is best friends with Kevin Wilkens. And that's where he was hearing this information from. And it said just this, and it said basically he cursed him out and said basically he was a crappy offensive coach and blah, blah, blah. But no one, to the best of my knowledge, has been able to give validity to that text message supposedly being real. So it's weird how that's what came out, and then like less than 24 hours later, this came out as well. So I don't know if that is legit. I don't know if that's the source they're picking from. I don't know which one it is because they just say according to sources.
Yeah, so, which that could be anything.
It is, but I'll say this. If they're going to put something like that out there, it's been verified by multiple people. They're not going to put it out there because they saw that. So, anyway, reports then came out that Wink had resigned. Wink was spotted at the Newark airport on Tuesday morning, leaving for Sarasota. He was coming to visit me. I don't know. Didn't know I had COVID. He didn't know I had COVID. As reports came out that he had not yet handed in his official resignation, and that a standoff seemed inevitable between the Giants and Wink. At that time, the Giants could not interview anyone for the defensive coordinator position since there wasn't technically an opening for it. And Wink wasn't free to coach anywhere without the Giants' permission because he's technically under contract. Today, we have the final, exciting conclusion to the Wink saga. Oh, yes.
Oh, but there will be more. It will return.
As the ACL tears.
Yes.
Today, the Giants and the Wink decided to mutually part ways. The Giants don't have to pay him his $3 million salary for next season, as which they would have had to if they fired him technically. But Wink is also free to coach wherever he wants, which is what he would have gotten if he had gotten fired. So both sides gave up something. So a lot to unpack there. Rob, you want to give any first thoughts on this?
I mean, obviously the Giants did a good job keeping that in the locker room and keeping it hush-hush for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you hear reports about, like, what happened with the Jets this season. You hear reports of just what happened when McDaniels got fired. Like, a lot of animosity comes out of some of these locker rooms. So that's a lot to say, because if your team and your locker room is keeping it in-house, that's either, Wink and Daboll were the grown-ups in the room until this all unfolded, or you got commodity, like those coaches are looking, those players are looking out for those coaches.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure which way it's going.
I mean, from all accounts within the room, part of the issues that Daboll was having is that the defense was doing whatever the hell they wanted. Now, keep in mind, when you hire Daboll, he's an offensive coach. He doesn't really do defense. He's never done defense in his entire career. When you hire a guy like Wink Martindale, he's going to be the one to go ahead and just do whatever he wants on defense. That's what he wants. That's what he is. Okay?
And that's a good move for a rookie head coach, but now that you got a little more...
Yes and no, because here's the problem we're into now. Wink thinks he should be a head coach in this league.
Yeah, and that's probably the animosity.
As a result, Wink will do whatever Wink thinks he should do on defense as if he has full okay to do whatever and it's his team. And it's not.
No.
And I feel like that's where the issues come into be, is that Wink is almost like, and I hate to use the analogy in this way, but think of it as any job where you go, I'm good at what I do, leave me the hell alone, I'm going to do whatever I want. You still have a boss.
Yeah, you still have to apply with the rules, especially like in a corporate world. Like, you may be the best at your position, but you're not the CEO. There's still someone ahead of you.
And remember the words they used in this: mutually parting ways. That's the same words they used when they left Baltimore, guys.
Yeah. So that's another thing. It's like, is it really like a mutual argument that was going on, or was there some issues on Wink that obviously, like you just kind of alluded to, like he thinks he's better than what he is. He thinks he should be running his own team. So him running the defense, and like I said, like it has its perks, but it also has its downfall. Like when you got a guy that's only done offense his whole career, and he's been pretty good at running an offense.
Oh yeah,
for his whole career.
Well, I don't know his whole career, but
for most of his career, yeah. But
he has some issues in Cleveland and Miami, but
go to college and fix all those issues. But anyway, it's like you need someone that you could kind of lean on where you don't have to worry about it, but you could also learn off of. But once it comes into the sophomore year of that, it's still like, hey, I'm your boss, but I know this is your specialty, but like I'm still running 3 sides of football here. And yeah, I guess Wink just didn't want to give up the reins.
Now, no word yet. I know people are probably curious. No word yet if the Giants are going to convert this $3 million of savings into a free medium Coke for season ticket holders or not. We don't know yet. Who knows? They did it a couple of years ago, guys. They can't do it all the time. They can't do it. Now, also, because I see some comments here, I don't want to get too much into the comments. We'll do the comments section later on, but people are asking, what did the Giants get out of this? The biggest thing the Giants got out of this is, hypothetically, if Wink wanted to make this stalemate keep going, the Giants can't interview for his job.
Which means the longer you wait to interview for a defensive coordinator, the less of them will be out there.
And that's exactly what this is about. This is about the Giants did not want to get stopped from interviewing people for the position and get whoever's left over, because they thought that Wink would potentially dig his heels in the sand. And let's be honest, love him or hate him, you got to be able to sit there and say that Wink is that kind of bastard to do that. He is. Like, he's definitely got that, like, he felt like he got wronged by his buddy being fired. And he would have dug his heels in the sand at that point and stayed there basically the entire time and waited. I mean, hell, the guy left for Sarasota. Now, what I was just curious about, and I don't know, contractually, wasn't obviously. You have to go through the contract. But to me, if you hopped on a plane to go to Sarasota, you quit. You already resigned. I don't need a written resignation. You left the freaking office. You stopped showing to work.
Yeah, but
Again,
I mean, you don't know the back end. So he could have
contractually obligated to do.
Yeah, but so you don't know. He may have put in 6 weeks ago. No, then we're not going to the playoffs. Like, hey, I'm going on vacation after week 18 for some much needed rest.
You cannot. That is the week.
I'm just saying. I'm throwing something stupid out there. You don't know.
You're looking at assistants. I guarantee you that week is like blocked off by them as far as doing that kind of thing. You have plenty of downtime that you can do that in. That's not the downtime.
Yeah, I mean, you also don't know, like,
if
you have family down there, something's going on. Like, there's a lot of things.
No, he lives in Sarasota. He lives in Sarasota. That's where his main residence is. But, like I said, I don't know the rules as far as that. I'm not going to pretend to. It's all based on how his contract is written, which obviously I was not given a copy of. So I can't pretend like I know as far as that part there. But like I said, to me, I would have dug my heels in the sand a little bit if I was a Giants for the day or two, saying, no, you left, you gave up, you quit. That's a resignation as far as I'm concerned. You stopped showing up to work. That's a no-call, no-show.
But this is where you run into problems with that. And I get it because, I mean, a lot of places would be spiteful for that. But if you're trying to hire another defensive coordinator,
I'm a spiteful
or
bastard.
someone else
I'm a spiteful bastard. I admit it freely.
But yeah, I mean, listen, I would be in the same boat as you. But also, with that, what does that create? When you're having some animosity with, someone else that's leaving, and you're trying to hire someone else to come in, like, is that what they want to see? A spiteful coaching staff, a spiteful, boss, as you are trying to sign up for the job? Like,
I guess part of why I'm not too concerned with this is the Giant way is to go for somebody you have connections with already. And if you already have connections with them, they already know what type of person you are, pro or con.
Touche.
My big thing is, I see people already sitting there saying, oh, what about now we can go to Philly or Washington or Dallas or something like that. Listen, again, I don't think he's that good. I think he's an above average, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock him and kick him on the way out. But this is not like an elite coach, guys. He's above average. He's not elite. And guess what happens if he goes to Philly or Washington or Dallas? Guess who knows his defense very well?
I was about to say.
The Giants.
He definitely would not want to play
when
us.
He's gonna send a freaking farm, basically. We can go 9 routes down the freaking field and just touchdown.
Yeah, he would have to redo his whole play calling book.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, trust me, that could be very much an advantage. It reminds me of, remember a few years ago, when I should say it's more than a few now, but the Bucks and the Raiders Super Bowl. And the Raiders literally tried to run John Gruden's playbook against John Gruden. You can't do that. When you lose somebody like that, you have to change everything up. And I'm telling you right now, as much as he's going to know the defensive weaknesses, we're going to know his defense as well. Like, it'll be a give and take as far as that. I'm not so worried about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not worried, like, some people talk about the reverse of it, like, oh, he knows our offense, but our offense hasn't looked the same in the past 3 years. It's been a different offense each time. Granted,
let me throw this
minus Barkley.
We don't even know our own offense right now, guys.
That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna probably have a new quarterback in the draft. We're gonna have potentially a new running back. We're gonna have a potentially new tight end. We're gonna have potentially new pieces on the offensive line. We might get a new wide receiver. I mean, there's so many things.
We're definitely getting a new offensive. We're definitely getting a new offensive line coach, which Wink has not known, most likely, or knows how he's going to set up like I said,
the
tackles against defense.
I would rather not face Wink twice a year. Don't get me wrong. Again, he's above average coach. I don't think it's the end all be all if we have to face him though. And I don't think he's again that we have that good that we have to worry about him being two times a year against us. So, alrighty, let's get into. We got some more coaching news. It's not all about Wink, guys. It's not all about Wink. We got plenty more here. We do have one news on a potential replacement though for Wink. As reports are coming out, the Giants are interested potentially in Antonio Pierce as defensive coordinator if Vegas does not keep him as a head coach. So somebody had thrown that out as a rumor. I think we mentioned that in the last episode. But it's been verified by legit sources now that that is true. Now keep in mind, Antonio Pierce has never been a DC. What I do like about him, though, is that team loved him. That team played hard for him. And
he's a leader of men.
Keep in mind, we are losing a leader in Wink. Wink's people, love him or hate him as a coach, would run through a goddamn wall for him.
Yeah.
So to have a guy like Antonio Pierce step in would mean something because you need a guy who's able to win that room back over. Because let's be honest, whoever takes that room over, they're going to have to win over again. Because there's probably some people in that room not very happy that Wink's gone. That's life.
Yeah.
So, Chargers have requested permission to interview assistant GM Brandon Brown. So that is now the Chargers and the Panthers that have requested interviews so far. So, kudos to him if he gets an actual gig as a GM. Keep in mind, there are only 32 jobs for that in the entire world, people. That's saying so when you get one of those jobs. I don't care if fail, succeed, whatever. Anybody who gets that far in that career, that's impressive.
You're done good.
And again, I don't want to lose him because he's Joe Shane's handpicked right-hand man there. But if we lose him, we get 2 third-round picks in consecutive drafts starting next year. So a little bit of pro, at least in that regard. The Titans, which we'll get to more of them in a second here. I'm going over Giants notes first, so it'll make a little more sense. This part. If you guys don't know what's going on in Tennessee, you'll know shortly. But the Tennessee Titans have requested to interview Mike Kafka, our OC, for their head coaching spot. Interesting there because I didn't think Kafka would get a single interview after the way the season went down. I'm kind of shocked.
I'm not. Like, he's going to get a few because he had a few last year, and they're like, "I just need a little more experience, kid." But then, you also have to look. Yeah, we started off terrible, but then you won 3 with your third string backup. So
I'm just saying.
It also it says some stuff.
We're the second worst points per game total in the entire NFL. That's the guy you want to promote to head coach.
No, I'm not saying he's going to get it, but I'm saying, yeah, you won more games.
I wouldn't want to interview him. Like, nope. Come back to us next year if there's a spot available. We'll talk.
Well, you look at what he did last year on his resume. Much to the playoffs. Then you go back, and this year, your starting quarterback gets hurt, only wins 1 game. You bring in your second string quarterback, he wins a game, gets hurt. You win 3 in a row, where you win 3 games with your third string undrafted quarterback, and then you come back and your second string also puts together some good looks. So you look better with your second and third string quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a Kafka or is it on Daboll? Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not upset if he leaves. And I'm not even saying that to knock Kafka. My whole thing is I like continuity with a young quarterback. And I think we will draft a quarterback this season. So I'd rather have a guy that I think is going to be around for a couple of years with him as opposed to a guy that might be out the door if he gets 1 good year. So, and again, I'm not trying to throw Kafka out the door. It's not a thing against him personally. I think that, I have mixed feelings on him at this point after last year. How much do you put on him last year, the offensive issues? How much do you put on the injuries? How much do you put on the lack of a quarterback? There's a lot of potentials. He's almost like, for lack of a better term, the Daniel Jones of offensive coordinators last year. Do you blame him or do you blame what's around him? I mean, it's like those excuses are there for him. I mean, and they're legit excuses. I mean, you're dealing with an undrafted rookie free agent starting as quarterback part of the year. You have your 4th-string right tackle in at this point. You have backups every single position on the line almost. It feels like you have injuries to your main weapon, at least the guy who's supposed to be your main weapon for half the year. It felt like. I mean, there's a lot of issues. You know, your Pro Bowl running back is out for a quarter of the season. I mean, there's a lot of issues, guys. So how much do you put on him? How much do you put it on? You know, hey, everybody would have struggled in that position. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think there's a way to even know the answer to that.
Yeah,
but it's got to be in the back of your mind. Anyway, on to the people we want to talk to here. The Giants are interviewing Raiders offensive line coach Carmen Bracilio. He joined Josh Daniels in Vegas after spending 3 seasons in New England, including being a co-offensive line coach in 20 and the O-line coach in 21, and then obviously the last 2 years now being the O-line coach in Las Vegas. I'll say this, not a very exciting interview, but I'm not going to blame them for interviewing anybody who's available with experience.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
5 years, 4 years experience?
Yeah. So I'll take it. You know, interview away. Hey,
listen, they're I mean, the Raiders line was a lot better than ours too.
That's part of the problem I run to. It's like, as long as you don't get the Jets offensive line coach, we're good.
Yeah.
That's about the only one. Or the Commanders.
Yeah. Touche.
Now, the Giants also requested to interview Falcons offensive line coach Dwayne Ledford. Now, I'm going to give kudos to our man Mace there. If anybody doesn't follow Mace on Twitter, you should.
Good follow.
Friend of the show. They've been on
a flipper now.
We'll have to have him on again soon. Yeah. So he is the first guy I heard to throw this name out. As soon as he said it, I'm like, damn, that's a good. The second Arthur Smith got fired, it's like he's like 5 minutes later, like, let's go ahead and get Dwayne Ledford. Because they had a really good run game there. They had a really good pass protection, a really good rated offensive line the last couple of years. But the Giants were denied access to interview him. Now, I will say this. That doesn't mean they can't circle back later on and potentially do that. The problem that you run into is he's under contract with the Falcons. The Falcons are in the midst of a head coaching search. This is not atypical. What they'll do is they will deny anything like that until the new head coach comes in and decides if he wants to keep any of the old staff. So if the new head coach, whoever they hire, I don't know who, let's say they hire
Harbaugh.
I don't know. Let's say Bill Belichick goes there, hypothetically. Well, if Bill Belichick goes there and says, no, I got my own offensive line coach, we're good. They're going to cut him loose. And then he's free to interview whoever he wants. So, again, we got to keep an eye on what happens in Atlanta and circle back to that as a possibility. Another one, the Giants were denied. The Giants were also denied the opportunity to interview Chargers special team coordinator Ryan Ficken. I hope I'm pronouncing that one right, because it just sounds funny.
It's not Finkel.
Ray Finkel. He was
Laces out.
He was a great
Laces out, Dan.
That's not the only thing that's out.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, same scenario, guys. This is one. Keep an eye on who's on in, I almost said San Diego. I'm so used to saying San Diego for so many years.
I know, so long.
Goes on in L.A. because if they hire a head coach, you might see him hit the market. Sometimes teams do this knowing they're going to get denied. It's just kind of their way of publicly stating, hey, I have
their
interest. I like this guy. I'm interested in this guy if he becomes available. So, again, we'll have to see what happens there. All right. On to Giants player news. Oh, yes. I told you all kinds of news. We're 30 minutes in. We haven't even discussed the topic of the day yet because there's so much news. I'm telling you, it's going to be a nice episode, guys. Giants player news. Dexter Lawrence today was named to the NFLPA, which is the NFL Players Association, All-Pro team. Now, to me, this means more than any other award you could possibly get, because this is the one that actually is voted on by the players themselves. This isn't coaches. This isn't, random people with a laptop writing articles.
Random fans.
Yeah. This is legit, like your peers said you are the best at your position. So kudos, Dexter Lawrence, man.
Yes.
Yeah, we have another one here. This sounds so weird. I keep on giving this guy kudos on a
I was about to say,
basis,
this
you know?
is.
It just
Do you need me to read this? Because it's weird
it's
for you.
like
It's weird for
it
me to
does
hear you talk about
it
this.
feels weird. But listen, we have to give it to this guy because this guy has improved so much. Last year, we were blasting this guy like you wouldn't believe, especially me. You just didn't like him per se
Especially.
as I was just blasting him nonstop because I'm
I mean,
sorry, it's not that difficult a position. I'm not trying to be like belittle it, but it's not. For what he was doing, all he had to do instead of kicking the ball into the end zone or out the end zone was rotate just a little bit and he hit a corner. That's what just pissed me off. It wasn't like he was. It
he's
was
used to
like,
playing rugby.
you know what it was? It was like you ever see somebody, you ever work with somebody that has potential and you keep trying to help them in their career and they just don't listen to you and it frustrates you to no end because you see the potential there.
They just keep
That's
doing
what
the
this
wrong
guy
thing.
was for me last year. Jamie Gillian, the Scottish Hammer, was named the NFC's Special Team Player of the Week last week. Now, what's really interesting about that also, last week, Gunnar Olszewski won it. So it's weird Thomas McGahee gets fired. In the previous 2 weeks, he had the Special Team Player of the Week. Now, I'm not advocating we should have kept T-Mac. Let me be very clear on that. He had to go.
I was about to say.
No offense to him. I like the guy personally. It's just time.
We talked about that since we started.
Yeah. It's just time. One more bit of news that got misconstrued, and I tried to put it on our social media page for people because I saw all kinds of crazy stuff with this last night. Sterling Shepard gave a very heartfelt goodbye to the Giants organization on Instagram. One particular content creator, and I want to put him out there, so I'm not trying to put him in blast. We all make mistakes. He put it out there. He retired. He did not retire. The R word never came out of him. He never said this is the end of everything. He just said this is the end of my time with the Giants. So if people are thinking he is retired, heads up, he is not. Now, may he be forced into retirement if nobody calls him this offseason? I could definitely see that as a potential. But I just want to be clear on that. He has not retired. Yeah. He just understands he's not coming back to the Giants. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. He's at a bar. He don't got to go home, but he can't stay here.
I mean, to me, it's like it's not so much. He didn't say retire. He also knows to write it. He also knows to write it on the wall. But he also may not know what he wants to do with his football, his future in football. So he may be like, I possibly may want to play Tri-Form year, but he also might be like, I get it. Like, I know in my last few seasons, I've been here long enough. It's like, do I get into coaching? Do I take a year off? Do I just say whatever? Maybe he retires. Maybe he says it in a month.
First off, if he takes a year off, he's definitely done.
I'm just throwing scenarios.
But I don't know what options will even be there for him this season. But my whole thing is I'm not going to take away from him the potential to have an actual retirement, announcement and give him one last kudos there. He deserves that for everything he's done with this organization. And that's on and off the field. I know the on the field wasn't always the best because of the injuries, but there's a reason the guy is so popular. It's because he kept fighting back. He kept on helping the team out in any way he could while he was out. He's a true professional at this
true blue.
So, again, that annoys me when I see a content creator do that because it's like I know Rob and I put a lot of time to make sure we're looking up information, we're giving you guys accurate information, we're not reading between the lines, we're not doing clickbait articles like I see everywhere. Clickbait articles. I didn't even start on that one. Clickbait, even videos. You know how many times I see videos on YouTube and
misleading titles?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, the Giants lost this important player," and then all of a sudden you watch the video. And it's like 5 minutes long, and that's it. And they didn't lose a single player in the video. Or that kind of stuff annoys me.
I love it when they bring in like teams like, oh, this team hired this veteran NFL player, and it's like Chad Henne.
Yeah, or like it'll be like crazy. Like let's say like, and I'm just making this one up. Let's say like Chad Ochocinco says he wants to come out of retirement and play. the Giants have the potential to add a former All-Pro wide receiver. Like,
Oh
don't do
yeah,
that kind of thing. Like, and it's like, guys, it
they
irks
did
me
that
because,
with
like I said,
Crosby. They did
I
that with
know the
Crosby. They
time.
signed Crosby.
It's like I know the time that you and I put into this, so it annoys me when I see a content creator, regardless of how popular they are or aren't. It's not even about that part of it. That just puts out false information. And like I said, in this case here, I think the guy honestly made a mistake because he was trying to be the first one to announce the retirement, and that's what it is. But unfortunately, being the first one is not always the best. So,
Yeah.
again, he hasn't retired. He's just retired from the Giants as a player. He won't be playing for the Giants next year. He knows that. Speaking of which, part of why he knows that is because his number has already been given away. Deonte Banks will be wearing number 3 next year. So at least it's somebody that like played with Shep and probably be around for a while. So I feel like that's better than just some random kid getting number 3 in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Junior,
all right.
coming up. I'm gonna take 3.
Let's get into other coaching news around football, not just the NFL, football this time, because we have big news outside of the NFL as well. Oh yes,
We already kind of alluded to this one.
No. We didn't allude to this one at all yet. The first one we alluded to, but the one outside of the NFL we haven't alluded to.
Oh, yeah. The first one.
So, as we said, Mike Kafka has been interviewing, is going to be requested to interview for the Titans head coaching job, which obviously means guess who's available? The Titans head coaching job. Because Mike Vrabel was fired yesterday from the Titans. His services are very, very much in demand. Let me put it this way. If you have a job opening for a head coach in the NFL and you don't interview this man, you're a goddamn moron.
Oh,
I'm going to put it out that clear and day. Unless you requested and he turns you down, if you don't interview him, you're a moron. Can't make it much more clear. The guy totally did a lot of work with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. Built around a running game. Fumble.
They
I
built
have this mic up here trying to so we don't have the sound issues like we had yesterday. And it's just not very stable where it is. Like I said, I can't wait till tomorrow to be out of quarantine. Go back to my regular setup here. I'll appreciate it a whole lot more not having it for a while. But I'll say the Chargers, great fit for him.
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
The Patriots, are you kidding me? If they go ahead and do get let go of Belichick, who better than Mike Vrabel, a former Belichick player, to go ahead and replace him at that point? That'd be spectacular for him.
I mean,
listen,
Falcons,
could you imagine?
I was about to say the Falcons. If he doesn't want to move far, Atlanta will take him.
The Falcons,
gladly.
Woo. Get that man. You know what though? Watch him even. Okay, I'm gonna throw this up there as a potential. Watch him sign a 1-year deal to Ryan Tannehill in Atlanta. Go there, draft a quarterback on top of that, and you'll have
go to the playoffs.
I'm just saying, like he's at least setting up, because I've said it forever. That's Atlanta's biggest issue. They spent all these top 10 picks on weapons, and then they got a third-round draft pick, a third of those weapons.
I mean, I talked about that Monday night.
Yeah,
like go back, Bijan Robinson, London, and Pitts. Like you got all these offensive weapons, but you got Desmond Ridder thrown to him that he came.
It makes no sense. It boggles the mind. It really does. You could have used those draft picks, traded up if you had to get the quarterback you wanted, because it's better to have the quarterback than the weapons. I'm sorry. I know some people disagree, and it's a big issue right now within Giants fandom. It doesn't matter how good your weapons are if you have no one to throw the ball to them. Point blank.
Yeah.
So, it just doesn't matter. It's like buying a TV before you have a house.
Or like a TV stand. Or wall mount,
TV,
whatever. Yeah,
I have this lovely wall mount, top of the line. What kind of TV you got? I haven't bought the TV yet.
Yeah,
I haven't bought. The
I just
TV
got my
yet.
phone. So I cast my phone right up to it.
I've been setting up a tablet on a stand and watching on that in the meantime. Anyways, we get off the Falcons thing.
Yes.
That team just annoys me to no end. By the way, we are playing the Falcons in Atlanta next year. So
very interesting.
I'll be at that game. I guarantee you that. Rob, you should fly down. Just saying. No matter how bad the Giants are playing, I will go this year too. I know I said that last year with the Miami game and then the New Orleans game. It didn't go to either because the Giants were playing that bad. The Falcons game I'll be at, because my family has a lake house not too far from there. So it's a quick 8-hour drive and a free place to stay. So, yeah, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there. Anyway, here's another one for you.
This one blew my mind.
I think you should be the one to announce this one, Rob, because you get to use his nickname one last time potentially on this site. Yeah, one last time potentially on the Giant Goofball podcast, because I know you have an affinity for this man.
You know where grunge music was created? Seattle, because everyone cries in Seattle. And Seattle had a sad day because Sneaky
Everybody hurts.
Sometimes Sneaky Pete and the Seahawks announced that
grunge.
No, I think that they're just rock alternative. It was like right before
rock of the 90s.
Yeah.
That's right in that same time period.
Yeah, I think it was right before Nirvana came around.
It's right around the time they were losing their religion.
Yeah, good enough. But yes, Sneaky Pete and the Seahawks announced that they would be taking he would be taking an advisory role next season and to step down as the head coach, the oldest head coach in the league, but one of the best.
I gotta wonder. I'd love to be a fly in the room to know how that conversation went. Like, was this something they knew was going to happen, and Pete was just like, "I'm done. I'm just tired," or like, did they kind of force him because they were disappointed with the season not making the playoffs? I don't know. I'm curious. I hope
14 seasons. It's 14
really
seasons for that team.
Yeah.
So like he's 17 years old. Granted, he still runs around chewing that gum with a beautiful jaw with more energy than half the coaches out there.
That man should have a some kind of like merchandising deal with like Chiclets gum or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Or Big League Chew. Remember Big League Chew back in the day?
Right, he can bring that back. Sneaky Pete Chew.
It's like, this reminds me of my childhood.
Although I guess you're also promoting tobacco use, but whatever.
Listen, it wasn't tobacco. It was like tobacco for kids.
Yeah, just where the gum was cut up.
Oh my gosh, it's such a disgusting habit too. If you ever know anybody would chew,
imagine.
I work with people that do it sometimes, and they have like a little spit cup next to them and stuff like
Just watch them drink the spit cup.
I was about to say, God forbid you get the wrong cup. Oh my God, it's just such a nasty habit. Like, no offense to anybody who like does it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway,
imagine Sneaky Pete. Imagine Sneaky Pete goes to the Pats. Double sneaking.
No, he's done. I don't think. I honestly think they would have fired him if that was the case, and he'd go on.
Yeah, that's probably his thing.
I think one of two scenarios happened. Either he didn't want to continue coaching, which I'm hoping, just because I want him to go out on his own terms. He has that, earned that right.
He's he's been one of the best modern time football coaches.
There's very, very rare that a head coach leaves on his own terms. It is the ultimate sign of respect. Even look at how they did it with Coughlin, because they respected him. Again, it was kind of a slap in the face the way it happened, but they wanted him to step down out of respect for him and not fire him. It's a respect thing. But like I said, either he didn't want to coach anymore, or they didn't want him to coach anymore, and he just doesn't want to move on to another place and start all over at this age of his life. I can't blame either direction. So, all right.
I mean, one last spot.
One more person, guys.
One last spot. I can see him going to L.A. for the Chargers with a Hawaiian shirt with a coconut drink and his big league chew.
People retiring in Florida. No.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my sidetrack. Let's go.
No one could afford to retire in California. They work forever. Last one. This is a non-NFL. We're going to NCAA. We're going to college football here. Nick Saban is, and I'll say it this way, is rumored, because I haven't heard Nick Saban say it yet, but the reports are out that Nick Saban is going to be retiring as Alabama's head coach. If that's the case, whoa. Didn't see that one coming. But he's also, I
Yeah.
believe, in his 70s. I mean, he's coached forever. He's got,
He's-
6 or 7 national titles? He's got 6 with Alabama, 7
Yes.
overall. He had the one with LSU.
Yeah, he's been one of the best, NCAA coaches out there.
He is the Bill Belichick of the NCAA,
Yeah.
which is
72.
ironic because of the fact that, in the end, they worked together in Cleveland. But, yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a career. A hell of a career. And a very, very tough. Listen, I'm telling you right now, if I had the option of being a head coach in college or the pros, not that I ever expect this option, I would take the pros in a heartbeat, guys, because you know what? College, there is no offseason. Offseason is recruit,
Yeah.
recruit. When you see the coaches sitting there on the islands drinking out of their coconuts, like you're mentioning there, you're not going to see that with college guys because they're out recruiting. That is a full-time job with no time off whatsoever, and you're constantly recruiting. So kudos to him on a great career on a job that is probably one of the toughest in all of sports. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into the actual topic of the day. It's about 49 minutes in, guys, and we haven't even discussed the topic of the day yet. I think we got to discuss the topic of the day. Because originally, before this hoopla happened with all the coaches, guys, today was supposed to be about potential cap casualty, guys. Guys we might want to cut to make up some cap room there. So, now all the numbers we're going to use in this are just heads up on people here. It's from Over the Cap. Obviously, we do not have access to the actual Giants accounting team to know where everybody's at. But Over the Cap is usually a pretty good source for that stuff. So, according to Over the Cap, we have about $34 million in cap space currently for the start of the 24 season. Now, they will announce the actual cap number for the season shortly. That's usually right after the season's over. So they use an estimate on what they expect it to go up by. So heads up, that might change by a couple $1 million either direction, depending on what happens there.
Yeah, north or south.
So $34 million, guys. Keep in mind, that's no Saquon signed. That's no McKinney signed. That's right there. If you want to re-sign those two guys, you're talking probably $20 million next year. So, guys, yeah.
Then some.
We don't have a lot of cap space. Every year I hear this, we have all this cap space next year. Next year's the year we have all this cap space, guys. Next year's the year. Stop it, guys. We don't have cap space.
We've been saying that for years.
It is what it is. I know. I'm so tired of hearing that.
Back in my day, we used to have cap space year after year.
Yeah, like, it's just, we don't have it. We don't have it, guys. Because they've been trying to work with peanuts the last couple of years, and they're pushing money down the line because they're working with peanuts. This is still fallout from all the Gettleman bullshit, basically, to be very frank about it.
Yeah.
So let's go over possible cap cut casualties here. Now, the first one I think is just waiting for the first day of the off season for it to happen. I think it's that much a certainty. Mark Glowinski. $7.2 million cap hit if kept. Saves us $5.7 million if we cut him. He gone.
Yeah. See ya. Bye-bye.
This is a guy that we've already benched last year. I mean, you're talking about benched him in the year we had the worst offensive line in all of football, basically. That's not very good sign for him coming back, obviously.
No. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. On the season, 13 games, 6 started. 64.8 PFF rating, which actually isn't that bad of a PFF rating, to be honest. Played in 59% of the offensive snaps in the games he was in. So, like I said, I think it's a little overblown how bad his season was, but he just hasn't been the player we thought he'd be when we signed him. I had a lot of hopes with him. I thought, okay, here we're getting the second best offensive lineman on a team that opened up for Jonathan Taylor. Because he was the second best offensive lineman signed Quentin Nelson on that team. And he just didn't pan out for whatever reason. You know, I mean, he's one of those guys that I could see him going elsewhere and going back to what he used to be. Just wasn't a fit. Sometimes it's not a fit, guys.
He goes to Atlanta, he'd be great.
Somebody probably get him cheap and it'll probably be good.
Yeah.
Next up, one of the big question marks here. I know they talked about him in the press conference on Monday and said they expect to keep him. Darren Waller. Darren Waller next year has a $14.5 million cap hit.
Million.
We saved $7.1 million if we cut him. On the season, okay, I need to actually more work on him than anybody else because let's be very frank, this is going to be one of the most talked about cap moves, I think, this offseason. On the season, 12 games.
Up there. Top 3, top 5.
50. I honestly, I think maybe the most as far as people that are under contract. Taking out the McKay, taking out the Saquon,
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I could agree with that.
So, on the season, 12 games, 52 catches, 552 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, I looked up some numbers. I wanted to see, and listen, I'm a Waller guy. I like Waller. I still think Waller is somebody who has potential to do great things. The issue is obviously the issue. No, but here's the thing: he's still 12 games in, and he was still probably second or third best receiver on the team, basically, between Slayton and Wandale.
It's also sadly not saying much.
I don't dispute that part, but here's what I'm looking at. He played. We talked before about this percentage of snaps. I looked at that a lot for this category. We're talking about who to cut and who not to cut, because it gives you an idea of what the coaching staff thinks of the person in some regards. In this regard here, with Waller, it tells you about the health issues and what he was going through this year. He only played in 69% of the snaps in the 12 games he played. I looked it up, his numbers, his best years, that we had those 2 massive years he had in with the Raiders. He averaged 91%. If he averaged 91% snap count, I did the math. I love doing the math. I did the math.
Oh, you did the math.
In the 12 games, at a 91% snap count, he would have had 728 yards. Assuming the same amount of throws and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm just breaking it down.
Yeah.
Divide by 69 times by 91 and see what happens. That's where he's at. Now, if he did 91% in all 17 games, he would have been 1,031 yards in the season. Now, I'm not trying to take out the fact that he was out for these games. Don't get me wrong. That's not my thought process in this. My thought process is try to compare him to when he was at his best with the Raiders.
Yeah,
does he still have that? His production is the same. His availability is what's less.
Yes. Of that 69% of the snap count, how many times was it like he would limp it off the field and he kind of kept them off for a couple extra plays? So like it's not that
part of it. Part of it is
if they had
injured and left the game in the first quarter too, that kind of stuff too as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like they probably would have used him 91% of the snaps if he was available. But like I've said through the year, the best ability is availability.
My point I'm getting at is if you could tell me that Darren Waller is going to be healthy and you're going to get him. Hold on. Hear me out. Hear me out what I'm about to say. If you're going to tell me that you can get Darren Waller healthy, then yes, $14.5 million is a big number to hit for a tight end. I would take it in a freaking heartbeat. Here's the problem. No one can guarantee that. It's now been 3 years in a row that he's had these issues. 3 years, guys. To me, I want him back at a lower cap number. I want to work something out with him. The problem, we've talked about this in the show before, the problem is it takes 2 to tango in that regard. Because he might not want to stay around. He might say, listen, this is a bad offense. This is an offense with issues everywhere. Just cut me, let me go somewhere else and rebuild my value. I could see that happening in a heartbeat. And I don't know where Darren Waller's mind's at as far as the Giants organization. And no one does, because if you ask him right now and you are a member of the press, he'll be, I love it here. I love the Giants. He's not going to say the truth. He can hate it here. He's not going to say, I freaking hate it here. God damn it. Yeah. I know you're wrong. If he cut easier.
I was about to say, if he did, obviously would you want to sign a guy like that to your team? Just out there waving out dirty laundry.
Yeah, he's not going to say it. So we'll have to wait and see with that one. But that's somebody that if he's not willing to play ball and lower his cap count, I'd cut him in a heartbeat. Would cut him in a heartbeat. I'm
That
not
woman
paying the
play
man
ball.
$14.5
I
million.
see what you did there.
I didn't even mean to do that there, as I do home run. But yeah, I mean, I
St. Jude.
Hey, that's a very, very good charity, from my understanding. I don't want to say too much. It's not like I've done research on them, but listen, it's for the kids. As long as we're actually giving the money to the kids, we're good.
I hope so.
But yeah, I hope so too. For your sake, you bought the shirt. But yeah, I mean, like I said, and that's the problem you run into with Waller, is he is a unicorn. They're not wrong in what they said, and he was unicorn-esque when he was healthy this season. Though he had definitely had some drops and stuff like that, don't get me wrong. But you're going to see a whole lot of teams vying potentially for Mike Evans if they don't franchise tag him. Guess what he has the biggest issue in? Drops. As long as you make a whole lot more and you have special skills, people will accept the drops. They won't like them, but they will accept them.
Yes.
Darren Waller falls in that category. Again, the problem is his health. It's all what it boils down to. And I would give him, you know what I would give him? If he's willing to convert his money into incentives, I would even be willing to give him the whole $14.5 million, as long as it's converted into incentives.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You get 1,000 yards, boom, here you go. Here's another $2 million. You know, you get 750 yards, here's another $2 million. You know, you play in 17 games, here's $1 million. You play, you know, you go ahead and play in 15 games, here's $1 million. That kind of stuff. I would be perfectly fine doing that. Because if he actually is healthy and is a 1,000-yard receiver, he's worth the $14 million, guys. You try to tell me a 1,000-yard receiver that on the open market you're going to get for less than $14 million. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Those guys are getting paid like $20 million now. It's insane right now what the wide receiver market is doing, and that's basically what he is. He's basically a big wide receiver. So, like I said, that is a conversation that I think is going to be going throughout the beginning of the off-season, because we have to know pretty quickly what's going on. I will say this, when we do our episode on potential free agents the Giants might be interested in, tight end will come up because of the fact that we don't know if we're going to keep him or not. And if we don't keep him, we're probably going to draft one, but it would not be the worst in the world to get a veteran and draft one and fill out everything and just get rid of Warren's Cager.
Yes.
So
teach some bellies and moves.
All right, next up. Darius Slayton. And I'm telling you right now, I don't want to do this. I'm going to put that right off the bat. I don't want to cut him.
But you have to put the numbers out there.
I got to, because this is one of the guys that you could free up some money with. Darius Slayton is a $7.8 million cap hit this year. If we cut him, it saves us $6 million. It's a lot of savings. Not a lot of money eaten. So one reason he's on this list. On the year, 17 games, 50 receptions, 770 yards, 4 touchdowns, played in 81% of the offensive snaps. So, yeah, I don't want him gone at all. Don't want him gone. I got to put it out there. Now, I'll throw this crazy idea out there. If he wants to do an extension and I can get his number down that way, I would extend him in a freaking heartbeat. This is his last year. That's 100% signed. Now, I don't think though that people realize what a savings Darius Slayton is at $7.8 million. That's a savings, guys. He gave a very team-friendly deal. And let's be honest, he didn't have a lot of teams vying for him last offseason.
No.
So if I was him and the Giants came to me and said, hey, we're gonna go ahead and give you an extension. We're going to add 2 more years on. It's going to cut your cap number down by $2-3 million this year. If I'm him, I'm taking it.
Yeah, prove yourself now, because he's still young enough. He's still young enough where he can show himself what his worth is to get a bigger deal somewhere else.
To me, he already has. Dude, he's led the freaking team 4 out of the 5 years he's been here in receiving yards. I don't understand the hate for Slayton ever, because, again, we've talked about this before. Even one of the first early episodes, we even mentioned this. Excuse me.
Yes.
Darius Slayton has been put in a horrible position by the Giants. He is part of a receiver room. He is not the stud. But we keep making him the stud because we don't have anybody else.
Bless you. Yeah, listen, he can.
So
he has the potential.
That's not him.
Yeah. Like we always talk about that Batman Robin scenario, but he's got that potential to be, we'll say that the Nightwing, he steps up from the Robin and has the ability to be better, but he's also not Batman.
I'll throw this out there even. I'm not dying. I'll be fine. I'm alive.
No wonder why your wife put you back in the room.
Just the occasional coughing fit. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll throw this out there, and it's maybe a weird analogy in some ways. Darius Slayton is about almost. And this is just a rough estimate off the top of my head. I can look off his stats, but since I'm my backup setup without my extra screen and all, it's harder to do. Darius Slayton is probably about 3,000 yards in at this point. If I had to guess, he's like 2,700 yards in his career. If you put him on this roster for 3 or 4 more years, guys, he's Sterling Shepard.
Yeah.
That's where he's at.
Yeah.
So
he's got 220 catches for his career, 3,324 yards.
Ooh, he's got more than I thought even.
Average 15.1 yards per catch with 19 touchdowns.
Yeah. I don't think people realize, and I get it's frustrating when he drops the ball, because sometimes he's wide open, a deep shot, and they throw him the ball and it just goes right, bounces off his hands. I get that's frustrating, guys. Every single player has a downfall, and you're not going to find people with the talent to get open and get separation like he has, as cheap as he is. I'm telling you right now, guys, we should not cut him. We should extend him, try to lower his cap number that way, personally. So, take it for what it is. What do I know? I'm just a goofball. Anyway, so we got a couple more guys to give you guys. Before we do that, we're going to pay the bills real quick, and we're going to start going through all these comments here real quick, guys. So, bear with us a second here. We'll be right on back. If you happen to hear us during the advertisement that you like and you want to go to the website for it, feel free in the meantime.
Yeah.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, let's start going through the comments here. Let's see here. Let me go all the way to the top here. First off, there's my wife with the green pukey face on there because she's listening to the beginning and talking about how I can't, go to my regular podcast room. Deb says, I remember the game show host. Yes, I'm that old. Like I said, I don't know when that was. Is it the 60s or? It's, you know what? It's probably one of those guys that I would probably see and go, oh, I remember watching him on the Game Show Network when that was around. Remember the Game Show Network back when people had cable?
Yes. I haven't had cable in years.
GSN, it became later on, I believe.
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Game show.
Dude, I haven't
channel
had
or
cable.
something.
I can't even tell you. I think the last time I had cable was my first apartment here in Florida, only because they gave that triple play plan. They gave no discount for just internet. So it was like $25 more to get the TV. At that point, whatever, I'll take it for $25.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's like, okay, force my hand. All right. And then Lamar Adams comes in with the whole thing on Jaden Daniels. Those who are interested in Jaden Daniels there. We will be doing work on the quarterbacks, though, guys. Keep in mind, that will be coming. We will be going ahead and doing literally a whole entire episode on each of the top quarterbacks in this draft and giving you guys scouting reports, thoughts on them, maybe have some guests on. Also, they want to talk about some college football and their time at their different schools and all. So that'll be coming on down the line there once we have some more time once the season itself is over. Because keep in mind, tomorrow we're going to be giving you guys our preview/picks episode for the wild card weekend. So we still have those kind of stuff to do and the recaps and stuff like that for the playoffs. So once the playoffs and the Super Bowl is over, then we'll have a lot more time to do this off-season stuff for you guys. So Connor says, so we are already so fucked up that we're going to switch all the coordinators, offense to defense, etc. How's that going to make us good? We're not a cheese. We're not
Make
a
us
cheese.
good.
He says, good. We're starting over again. Should be you stay till contract is up. Here's the thing, though. I don't think they wanted Wink, honestly, because Wink tried to make himself a second head coach. And you can't
assistant
have
head
that. You
coach.
have to have one voice, and that's Daboll. Like him or not, you need one voice. And I'll say this as well. People aren't going to like hearing this. If you take out, and if the queen had balls, she'd be the king. Well, I'm going to say that off the bat right now. But if you take out the losses to the Eagles and Cowboys, you'd be surprised how damn good his win percentage is. That's been his two issues, is the Cowboys and the Eagles. Think about it. Last year, we lost 5 games.
5 times.
To those guys. We lost
9 times.
3 out of 4
total.
times this year. So
Yes.
8 times.
Yeah. I just automatically put in my head, even though we just won this past weekend.
I'm just saying, that's where he's at. Let me see real quick here. Brian Daboll, head coaching record. So his record as a head coach is 14, 18, and 1. So if you take
half that.
He's 13, 10, and 1, guys. Again, I understand. You can always have these scenarios where you take things out. What I'm getting at is the team has been playing well under him for the most part.
Yeah, even if he won half those games.
I know we had a crappy year, guys. I know we had a crappy year this year, guys. But we also, again, we talked about this. We talked about Kafka. You had third-string quarterbacks. You had fifth-string tackles in the game. I mean, you had a guy literally come off the couch and start 2 days after he signed with the team.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, this is how bad this you can't – it's almost like you have to give this whole coaching staff, except Bobby Johnson, because he's just bad coach. But for the most part, you have to give them a pass. I don't know of a single coach that would have succeeded with this team the way it was this year. I really don't. And the fact that once people started getting healthy, down the stretch we were 4-3 the last 7 games, tells you things started getting better. So, like I said, I don't think it's woe is us. I don't think it's negative as people want. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there that talk about the Giants that are content creators that are always like, whoa, 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 this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And it's to get you guys to keep watching. It's almost like the news channels. This person's at war, that person's at war. We're going to keep you the truth, guys. This team is an average team right now.
And that's the bottom line.
We're not a great team. We're not a horrible team. We're an average team. The decisions we make this offseason will probably determine if we are above or below average. Based on who we get quarterback-wise, who we get coordinator-wise, who we get offensive line, because that's a very, very important position for us this offseason. So we'll see. But like I said, I don't think this is what was us. I really don't. Deb says, why didn't they just let him walk? Still would not have to pay him, and he would have needed permission to talk to other teams. What did we get out of this? That's what he said before about as far as we got the chance now to start interviewing. That's the big thing. Lamar says, Giants need O-line coach, OC coach, DC, linebacker coach, special team coach, running back coach. Yeah. Got a lot of coaches we need. That's fine. That's not a big deal at all. I mean, there's plenty of teams you can't even talk to the coordinators or assistants right now about, so we'll be fine. And then Connor also pointed out the big thing about they also saved $3 million. I don't think that the $3 million was the big thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sure Merritt was happy not to pay it. But $3 million for the Giants is a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. I hate to say it that way because I've been clamoring for years on this. If you really want to build a team,
pay the coach.
Let's say you're a team starting from scratch. Pay the coaches. There's no salary cap on coaches, guys. These teams make money hand over fist. They're billion dollars. What the Commanders get sold for is $6 billion.
Yeah, 6 and change.
Yeah, you'll be fine if you give somebody $5 million to be a defensive coordinator, $2 million to be a position coach. Like you pay what you got to pay to get these guys. There's the one thing there's no cap on. Deb says the other day Drew said if he resigned, the Giants wouldn't have to pay him. If resigned, the Giants would have to pay him. Yeah, if we had resigned officially, the Giants wouldn't have had to pay him. Mr. Sister, which by the way, the first time I don't know who's an X-Men fan here, but the first time I saw that, I thought it said Mr. Sinister.
Me too. I had to double take it. I was like,
yeah. Which I still think all the goddamn X-Men movies they did, and they couldn't do a Mr. Sinister.
They were trying to set up with Mr. Sinister with the last ones.
They did that so many times; it's not even funny. So if you watch, I can't remember which one it was, but one of them had a. Oops, I'm losing my mic here again. One of them had a briefcase with the Essex Corp, which was his company. And if you watch the New Mutants, which was the last Fox movie they did,
that's another one set up.
They set it up for him as well. Like that'd be an awesome villain to use in something. I don't know if people that don't know the backstory on that, the X-Men animated series, which they're bringing that back as well.
Yeah,
excellent
soon
episode on his startup actually, generations ago. He's much older than you would think. He just wears his makeup well.
Yeah.
Anyway, as we get sidetracked again, he said they just don't get on. Just don't Wink go to Philly, Washington, or Dallas. Again, I'm not too concerned. And that's what we're talking about that. And he put, but he knows our defense. And he said true because again, we know his defense. I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. I think that he's a good coach. He's not a great coach. Let's see here. Deb says lots of teams scored a lot of points against Wink's defense, Connor. Yeah, had the Cowboys do. They had no problem. Lots of people felt he was old school and not that good. It's not that he's old school. And, again, we talked about this. Was it Monday I think we said this? And, again, I haven't seen anybody else comment on this particular part of the topic here. But it's an important thing to note. If you notice towards the end of the year, there was a shnikey load more zone coverage.
Yes.
Wink does not like zone. He's a man coverage, heavy blitz guy. He wants to leave his people out on an island. And it's weird, and I wonder if that's part of the issues with him and Daboll, is that Daboll kind of forced him to start going zone coverage. And you know what? It worked. And I'm not trying to give Daboll credit for that. Don't get me wrong, because I don't know how that went down. Was that Wink? Was that Daboll? Was it a combination? Was it somebody else? I don't know. They don't tell us that stuff.
You don't have to make coverage every time. You can zone, too. Throw them off
It did a lot more zone. And you notice Deontay Banks, towards the end of the year, was getting a couple INTs. Every single one of his INTs was in zone coverage, guys. Every single one. So, like I said, something I think that people should be talking about more and trying to figure out what happened there. Again, I always have my issues with the Giants media. This is one of those things because I haven't heard any of them mention this or ask point blank what happened. I would be asking away.
Yes.
Lamar Hunt giving us some more information on the guy, Robert Hunt, free agent there. And like I said, we will be going over doing a whole episode for you guys on potential free agents. Robert Hunt will be on that list, by the way, Lamar. The list is already made. That's the nice part of being quarantined with COVID there. I have a chance to do all the notes and stuff and all the work for future episodes. Already ready to go. Oh, it's nice to be able to go home, relax a little, and not have to do all the work and stuff like that. It's very nice. Mr. Sister says Shep was a good Giant. Damn straight he was. Not necessarily a great.
One of the best.
Not
One of the best. Not saying it's player-wise, but just the persona of him around. One of the best.
Listen, if you made a team of the all-time best Giants receivers, he probably won't be there, but he's probably going to be on the practice squad.
Yeah.
I'd have to run down our list of the top 10 wide receivers. We did that last offseason. Those anybody's interested in where he stood. I can't remember where we had him at that point, but I know he was in that top 10. But
yeah,
I want to, because I mean, obviously you're gonna have OBJ,
he's probably towards
Amani
Toomer,
you have Chris Callaway, Hakeem Nicks. I mean, there's Victor Cruz. There's plenty of people ahead of him. But he was in our top 10. Like I said, he would be like a practice squad guy, basically. Stop salsa dancing. He just looked funny.
Couldn't help it.
To the hustle. That looks more like it. Anyway, Mr. Sister says Belichick to the Titans, Vrabel to the Pats. Maybe Vrabel to the Pats, but not Belichick to the Titans. He ain't going there. That's a rebuild. He ain't going.
Yeah.
Then he says Daboll to Bama.
San Diego.
That's not happening either.
I feel a troll.
Then he says cut Waller. They might cut Waller. We'll see. He said they scored points depth because offense wasn't scoring. That was Connor. Sorry to say. You guys have the same color circle on your names. I don't know what he was talking about at that point there, but let's see here. Mr. Sister says like Slayton, but cut him. No, don't cut the man. You're not going to replace that for him for $7 million, guys. I'm telling you, unless you get somebody in the draft. And in that case, then if you get somebody in the draft that's better than him, he's in his rightful spot as a reserve. That's what he should be. Connor says, did your manscaper break yet? LOL. Are you using on your balls or your face too? Ew, LOL. Because those beards are looking full. LOL. So
it's
yes,
lazy winter beards.
Our manscapers are still working. At least mine is. I don't know. Rob,
we
discussed that really. They have come out with new versions. Maybe we should try to get them to give us the new versions if we do a sponsorship with them again. Honestly, I don't.
In time for the draft.
I don't think we're going to sponsor with them again because the problem we run into is our views dropped because when you do a paid sponsorship, you have to put it's a paid sponsorship, and I saw our numbers drop the second we did that. So I don't think we'll be doing that again anytime soon with a particular company unless they want to offer us something that makes worthwhile. I'll put it that way. Whether it's money or gifts or whatever. I mean, but yeah.
It was nice.
No, we don't.
Your balls will thank you.
Well, at least I can't speak for Rob again, but we do not use the same razors on our balls as we do our face. No.
I was going to say, we definitely do not use the same razor.
Now, my thing is, I was supposed to go. I was supposed to go to the barber actually last week. Now that I'm, actually doing haircuts and going to barbers again for the first time in over a decade, with what little hair I have left. But yeah, I was supposed to go, and then of course COVID hit. So hopefully this weekend I can go get a haircut. All right, let's go to the rest of our list real quick here. We got a few more names here to go. I will say this: don't expect any shocking big names because there's not that many big names out there to really go by, guys. There's really not. All right, next up, we have a guy that was a late offseason trade. That at the time I was like, what, why, who, what?
Yeah.
And I'm still questioning this trade. I think we got bamboozled for a draft pick by the Bills for Carlos Boogie Basham. He's got a $1.4 million cap hit. And we saved just about $1.4 million by cutting him. It's like less than $100,000 we'd owe him at that point. So, yeah. 13 games.
He had a great name for his position, but...
He did. 13 games, 0 starts, 11 tackles. Played in 23% of the defensive snaps. And you might say, okay, maybe he was a special teamer. Oh, I did the math there as well. Why shouldn't I do the math? Somebody else did the Pro Football Reference did the math for us, but I did look up the percentage for the guys who are backups. He only played in 23% of the special teams snaps as well. So it's not like he was like a guy like Carter Coughlin or Cam Brown where they didn't do much on defense, but they were all over on special teams. Nope, that wasn't the scenario. Yeah, $1.4 million to get 11 tackles. I'm good. I think we can cut him.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye-bye.
I expect, honestly, guys, I expect a lot of difference in this edge room next year. We already talked about Jihad Ward's not going to be there. He'll go wherever Wink goes. So you'll have, Ojulari, who's always hurt, and Kayvon, who was healthy this year but has injury issues in the past in college and his first year as a pro. So, yeah, we're going to get some guys.
Yeah, I think so.
But Boogie Basham won't be one of them. He'll be gone. Next up, Gary Brightwell. I know you guys all forgot he was on the team, probably. I almost did. $1.1 million cap hit. We save about $1 million if we cut him. 7 games this year, 19 rushing yards, 47 receiving yards. 9% of the offensive snaps he played on. 56% of the special team snaps. So at least he was providing special team help there. But to me, I wouldn't. Depends on what we do with the room. Also depends on Barkley and Breda and all those guys as well. I wouldn't be opposed to keeping him at a lower number.
But say it depends.
Because he does provide special teams help. He can return kicks. He, this year didn't show you much, but last year he didn't have a bad year, I thought, overall. Didn't get a lot of runs, but had a good run yard average last year. This year he did nothing.
When he played, he played.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind keeping him. But I'm not keeping up $1.1 million. I'm gonna say, listen, we'll give you the veteran minimum. We'll restructure this. Otherwise, you're gone. Because that's what he's worth.
Yeah.
It's only $1.1 million, guys, because it's his 4th year in a rookie deal. Has to go up to $1 million eventually. So we'll see. Now here's the one that some people are gonna go, whoa! What are you saying?
You're gonna hurt a lot of feelings.
What are you saying here? What are you saying? Tommy freaking DeVito here. And I know it sounds crazy, but listen, guys. We have Daniel Jones. Okay. Like, I love him or hate him. We got him. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Unless somebody wants to trade for him, which I'd love, but no one's gonna. We have whoever we draft. Y'all know I've been saying forever. I want to draft somebody this year. This is the year to do it. That's 2 spots. Do you really want to keep a third quarterback? I'm not sure we do.
I mean, I've
talked about this before. If Tommy DeVito was in the plans for the Giants' future, if he was in the plans for the Giants' future, they would never have started Tyrod Taylor the last couple of games. They would have kept Tommy DeVito. They wouldn't have yanked him in the game. They wouldn't have announced Tyrod Taylor the starter, who's obviously not in the plans for the future, no matter what Joe Shane said about him on Monday. He's 35-year-old backup. You don't put a 35-year-old backup in your future plans.
Yeah, that's worth millions.
Again, if you had a good starting quarterback and you want him to be your backup quarterback, that's great. But when you already have Daniel Jones under contract and you're going to draft somebody probably at that point, there's your 2 quarterbacks right there. Tommy DeVito's cap hit.
I think he's going to be a practice guy.
$915,000 is his cap hit. So I'm not saying he's expensive. I'm just saying he's unnecessary potentially. So I'm just going to throw it out there like that. So
yes,
on the year, 9 games, 6 starts, 64% completion percentage, 1,101 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And again, I just don't think the coaching staff has any faith in him. I really don't. I think if they did, again, they wouldn't have yanked him. So that's the main reason why he's on this list. Otherwise, but if he's not part of your plans, get rid of him. There's no need. The season's over. The man that got's out of the oven. He's done.
Yeah. He man that got us down the field.
Yeah. All right. Last up, we do have one more name for you guys here. Oh, yes. One more name. One more name.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the guy that you might go, who? Who?
Oh, yeah.
He was only 1 game last year for the Giants. Timmy Horn. Oh, yes. Timmy Crack Horn, and I don't care. Timmy Crack Horn, and I don't care. $985,000 cap hit, if kept. We save all $985 if we cut him. He played 3 games with the Falcons last year, had 4 tackles. Played 1 game with the Giants last year, had no tackles.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm good. Now, let me be very clear on this, though, too. Guys like DeVito, Horn, you can even throw Brightwell in there. They're cap casualty guys, partially because of how they play. And what I mean by that is the Giants may keep them on during training camp, the off seasons and workouts and stuff like that, and then might say before the season starts, hey, I can save all the money and get rid of this guy.
You do that. It's $3 million pretty much safe.
Yeah. It sounds like nothing, guys. But $3 million is the same money they were worried about getting back from Wink. $3 million is getting a good backup lineman or a backup tight end. A quality one, not a scrub like these guys. So, again, I'm not suggesting we cut all these guys. I'm suggesting the thought process will be there to discuss those guys, if that makes sense. Now, if we did hypothetically cut all those guys we just talked about, that'd be $23.1 million we just saved against the cap. Total cap space for the offseason now goes from initial $34 million to $57.1 million. That's a big freaking difference, guys. That's a big goddamn difference.
Oh, yeah.
Now, again, I'm not suggesting all those guys get cut. I think some of them we should work out some extensions with, save some money that way and stuff like that. But what I'm trying to get, the big point I'm trying to get here to you guys, and I said this on Twitter, and somebody tried to put me on blast for saying it, but I don't care. I'm still standing by this. We talk about positional value. We talk about that a lot because the team drafted Saquon. Ever since we drafted Saquon, positional value, positional value. You never heard that term as a Giants fan until that draft. Never.
Like, what's that? Oh, it's this guy.
We all knew what it was, but nobody talked about it. You know? So, if you want to talk positional value, when you have 34 to, let's say, $34 to $45 million in cap space, let's put it that way, depending on who we cut. I think it's a fair statement to say that kind of broad range. 34 to 30 to 45. You can't spend $20 million on a safety and a running back. You can't. Those are not the positions of value. That's not what they are. And I know people are saying, oh, well, Xavier McKinney is because he's versatile and blah, 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 blah. That all depends on who we get as a defensive coordinator. Not every defensive coordinator will utilize that versatility. And again, if they don't utilize it, doesn't mean they're a worse DC. It just means that's not the scheme they run.
The style. Yeah.
So why I'm including this as part of this conversation, guys, is to prep you guys for one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to re-sign those guys, and we're not going to have a ton of money to make any moves really in free agency, guys. When we need.
There's a lot of needs.
We especially need at least one guard. If you want to get one in the draft, hypothetically, you need one guard. Ben Bredeson's not even on the roster anymore, guys. Keep in mind, he's a free agent. So you have to sign some people. You can't spend all this money on those two positions when you don't have a lot of money to spend and you have a lot of holes. I'm just kind of prepping people for McKinney and Saquon may both be gone, guys. And it may be in the best interest of the team to do that so that we can fill the rest of the holes we have. And again, I'm saying the best interest of the team right now. That's not to say those aren't two good players. And if we were a playoff team and we had the space and we're like, okay, we got to make one more run for it. Let's just pay these guys. I'd be all for it.
Yeah, it's a different conversation.
But when you're not a playoff team, you got to build up to become one again. You know? And you don't build it up by overpaying for positions that don't usually get overpaid. We can go ahead and draft a couple running backs or maybe sign one, draft one. Spend half the money what Saquon would cost us. Improve the offensive line. And maybe even get the same kind of output that we got from Saquon this year. Because Saquon, let's be very frank, his numbers weren't the best this year. And that's not all on him. That's also on the run blocking scheme. But he was averaging 3.9 yards a carry. 3.9 yards, guy. Xavier McKinney. Again, love the guy. Put his heart out there. Played every single snap this season. But you can get a cheap safety for like $2-3 million. Maybe draft another one. Have them together have the same versatility that Xavier McKinney had. You know? I mean, let me put it this way. Is Jason Pinnock that much worse than Xavier McKinney?
Pinnock also had a pretty good year this year.
He did, but I'm just saying this hypothetically. I mean, hell, Gillian Love's going to the Pro Bowl this year. He got paid, what, $4-5 million from the Seahawks?
Yeah, something like that. 6.
So you want to pay this guy $10 million?
Yeah. That could have been us, but truly enough.
With Giant fans as a whole is we get so attached to players. And it's funny how, like, we want to get rid of some people left and right, especially coaches and quarterbacks. But there's other players who play non-prime positions that we just fall in love with. I don't think it's in the best interest when you have that kind of cap room. Now, if we were like the Commanders at $90 million, go ahead, pay them both $10 million, but still get 70. Who cares?
Yeah, that's different. It's a little different.
But when you got, I said like $35 to $45 million, guys, we don't have that room. I said my own 2 cents on that. It's kind of like separate from the topic of the day, but like I said, I'm just kind of prepping people because I don't see this offseason going well for us for those two. I think both of those honestly will probably be gone.
I think one of the
probably
two.
The right decision.
I think one of the two.
I can see that too. But I don't think both of them are coming back. I'd be very shocked if they're both Giant next year because of the issues of the cap space. So,
unless McKinney wants to take less money.
Yeah, go for it. I doubt he will, though. Or they can restructure it right where it's not a ton of money this year because they're going to free up a whole bunch of cap space next year when they cut Daniel Jones.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, they'll take a low first year. Who knows? Crazy things happen. All right, one more comment we got. Mr. Sister says, do you think the Giants will pick up a quality veteran quarterback to back up Jones or trade up for the QB in the draft? We talked
probably
about
trade down.
Trading up. I think they might trade down. I think trade down. They'll get either a Pinnock or a McCarthy or a Bo Nix or somebody of that nature there. I think, or unless Jaden Daniels happens to be there at 6 and they like him, they take him. It all depends on what Shane thinks of these quarterbacks, and he's not going to tell us. We'll know what he thinks of the quarterbacks on draft day.
I was about to say, as soon as they get drafted.
Yeah, that's what we'll know. He's very close to the chest guy like he should be. All right, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow night for you guys, giving, again, we'll do our first round of postseason picks and previews. So keep in mind, because it's the postseason, we're going to be doing it kind of like a combined version of what we used to do for the Giants games, doing a preview with the pick show. So we'll give you like a 10, 15-minute topic there on each of the games going on. There's, 6 games going on. So
6, yeah.
We'll be here for an hour and a half probably next episode tomorrow night as well, guys. So, again, as always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, usually Instagram, but again, until I get to my regular podcast studio, we're not on Instagram because it takes too much to do it on a laptop. The weird way that Instagram is set up. For those who stream, they know what I'm talking about. And, of course, as Rob was already getting ready
Drew's
to go.
LinkedIn.
Oh, yes, my LinkedIn profile as he points to the wrong direction. It's mine. It's not the window curtains.
Yeah.
And then I swear we make comments sometimes. People like listening on the audio podcast, probably like, "What the hell are you talking about? The curtains?"
Yeah, I always forget we're mirrored image.
I know. The nice thing is because I have to do and joined by. I'm like always like. So I have to do it every single episode, so it's kind of trained me into doing it. But yeah, this is actually to my left. To the left.
To the left.
But yeah, anyway, as always, we are available the next day on audio podcasts as well on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, all the big ones there. Appreciate you guys listening as always. Again, we'll be back again tomorrow night here for you guys. Again, as I said, off season is upon us now, guys, but it doesn't mean we're done. We got plenty of information to give you guys. There's news every single day. We're an hour and 40 minutes this episode, guys. So if you think there's nothing to talk about, then you obviously haven't been listening.
There's
to
a lot to talk about.
There's always things going on. So, again, we'll be back again doing the previews there for you. We'll be back again on Monday doing our recaps for you guys of all the games. And, of course, giving any news around the league around the way. And next week, we're going to be back around with another Giants-specific episode as well on Wednesday. As of right now, that is tabled to be a conversation of potential free agents the Giants might be interested in, unless some big news comes down. You never know. It's just that time of the year.
Could be.
So,
as the week turns, might turn up.
As the ACL tears.
Yes.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're watching us live. As always, Giant fans.
Go G-Man!
Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?
Thank you to those who have signed up for our silver gold levels of membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.